Thank you.
Anyone who's ever been in business knows you make mistakes. Hopefully they're small. Hopefully they're few and far between. And hopefully they're not life-threatening, which this is not life-threatening. And, we, in this one area, we failed to have the granular limits and the rigorous review that we should have. We believe that's not true for the rest of the company. We try to be very, very disciplined, and we fixed this problem the second we found it.
Much of the discussion regarding JPMorgan's trading loss is focused on.
Are there lessons that we can apply to what our regulators use, the criteria they use, and they look at how our institutions undertake risk?
Yeah, so risk committees, and obviously we failed in this regard, but we have very strong risk committees. You need properly staffed, properly reported, that everyone gets it, independent-minded. Their job is to challenge management, all the way to the CEO. Why are we doing that? Why don't we have more limits? What can go wrong? Let's stress test it. And that's what those committees are supposed to do. Because when we make disclosures to shareholders, we're going to disclose the... If JPMorgan fails, I don't think anyone's going to pick up any tab because we have $190 billion of equity, $290 billion of unsecured debt. So I don't think there's any chance we're going to fail. But if we did, any losses the government would bear should go back, be charged to the banks, just like FDIC today is charged back to banks. So we have JPMorgan is going to spend $5 billion of fees to the FDIC to pay for the failure of other banks. So we have the order. I don't like the $5 billion, but I think it's appropriate that the American taxpayer doesn't pay for that guarantee.
Mr. Grimm for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman.
What would have happened in these trades if the Volcker rule was fully implemented, as you understand it?
So the Volcker rule specifically allows portfolio hedging. And I think when we initially did the original intent, it would have been allowed because it was a hedge that would benefit the company in a terrible stress like Eurozone. I think what it morphed into, I cannot defend. It violated common sense, and I don't know if the Volcker rule could have or would have stopped that. If it did, it wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't be sitting here. I think the far more important thing about the Volcker rule is the ability to make active markets here, which keep down spreads for everybody, for all investors, and that makes it easier for companies to raise money and cheaper for investors to invest money. And those investors are veterans, retirees, mothers. They're not just people like me. So that's why we think the Volcker rules have to be written very carefully to maintain the best capital markets in the world and not stifle them.